All right, so I just want to start off by clarifying how old are you?
72.
72. Okay.
I started initially in pre-nursing, and I had to take my younger brother to the doctor. He cut his arm washing dishes for me. And when Dr. Deal allowed me to come into the room and watch him put in the stitches, I said, oh boy, no, 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 no. I couldn't wait to get back to this campus and change my major to something that I would not lose as many hours, and that was health and physical education. So I studied health and physical education and graduated in 1970.
What was your reaction when you first got accepted into Georgia Southern College?
I actually wanted to go to Tuskegee.
That's in
my dream.
Yes, yes.
We didn't have any money, and I didn't get any of the scholarships from school. So I said, well, I'm gonna go to school, and I want that piece of paper that says that I can work and earn a decent living. So I applied here, got accepted. I applied in the summer, got accepted to come into the fall, 1965.
So you applied in summer of 65 and then was, all right.
Accepted to come in fall of 65. Nobody liked it. My mom didn't. My mom was, I think, was really scared. It was fear for her. And for me, I was going to school. College was hard, very, very hard. Half of the teachers didn't even know I was in their class. I was not allowed to ask a question. When I thought I knew, they ignored me when I raised my hand. It was hard, very, very hard. I prayed a lot, cried a lot. But I was determined I was going to get that degree. I told them if I have to stay here 40 years, I'm going to get this degree. I cried literally and prayed every day. When the professor called my name, I grabbed a cross. I had a cross that my grandmother gave me, and she said, God isn't going to allow them to give you any more than you and he can handle. So when they say, Sherry, I said, what? When I changed my major from pre-nursing to health and physical education, and one of the first classes I had to go to was Dr. Ramsey's class. And we always had a class of 45, 48 people. I always sat kind of in the middle, about the third or fourth row back. I wanted to hear and see what the professor was talking about. He walked across that room. He said, hot damn. I got one. Sherry, what the hell are you doing in here? I said, I changed my major from pre-nursing to health and physical education, and I understand I've got 3 classes to take from you. He said, I wish the hell you hadn't done that. I don't cotton to people of the dark skin persuasion, especially Negroes. I think Negro women ought to be home learning how to cook, clean, have babies, and keep a mind happy. What are you doing here?
And he told you that right in the middle of class?
In front of the class, first thing coming in. I said, I don't plan to do that. In front of the class got really quiet. But that wasn't it, because I think he picked on me every time he saw me. I end up crying about something, okay, and praying. We took an exam in kinesiology, and Van Buren, I can't even remember his first name, was smart. Oh boy. He'd always have 114, 120, because he'd get extra credit. And I stayed at his house, over his apartment, overnight to study for this exam. Okay? My mom said, you can't go over there, Claire. You can't go in that neighborhood. I said, I got to study. So I'm going to go to his apartment. And we took the exam like on Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Friday he gives, no, we took it Monday. Wednesday he gives you a 2-inch square piece of paper with a number on it. That was your grade. Van had 110. I had 48.
After you had taken the time to study all that time?
Night. And so I said, Doc, I need to go over this with you. I said, I know that I know the material. And Van said, Doc, she knows the material. I helped her study. He said, you be quiet and tend to your own. I said, well, I need to come and talk with you and go over the test. And he said, I don't have time. I said, well, when can I come and go over the test? He said, I don't have time for you to do that. And the class said, Doc, just go over the test with her. He said, I don't have the time. He said, when can you come? I said, anytime after 11, but I have to be at the bookstore at 1 o'clock. He said, I can see you Friday at 1 o'clock. So I called Mr. Barrett at the bookstore and told him, I walked over there and told him that I had a conference with Dr. Ramsey, so I'd be late. And I went over there, and he was talking to the tennis team. And I walked past the door and looked in his face and stood on the other side. This is 10 minutes to 1.
Okay.
So at 1 o'clock, I went back in the doorway and looked in his face and stood on the other side. So 5 minutes after 1, I interrupted him. I said, excuse me, Dr. Ramsey, we had a 1 o'clock appointment. He said, young lady, get your black ass out of my office and don't you ever come back over here again. And so I turned around and I was just so stunned that I was walking down the hall and Dr. Cotton passed me. And he said, Sherry? And I said, Doc? And he wheeled around. He said, Sherry? I said, yes. He said, what's the problem? I said, you wouldn't believe it. He said, come on in here, come on in. He was chairman of physical education at that time.
Okay.
And so I told him what had happened, and he said, I'll talk to him. I said, don't do that. I have 2 more classes to take from him. And you only make it worse. He said, I'll talk to him. So I said, no, I don't want you to talk to him. So I don't know what happened, but the senior majors, females, called for a meeting. President Henderson was there. All of physical education and health teachers were there. Gamma Phi Epsilon, the boys were there too, men. And I think Sandra Ray or Claudia Whaley was talking, and they said, we call this meeting because we will not attend another class from Dr. Ramsey. Either you get somebody else to teach it, or we will transfer our credits to the University of Georgia and finish our degree. And they said, well, why are you saying, well, he does not like women who major in physical education. And he doesn't like blacks. So Sherry has a double whammy. She's female and black. And so we need to get somebody else to teach these classes or we will withdraw. And he said, Sherry? And I said, well, you know my situation. I can't do anything right in that classroom. And the 2 classes that I was taking from him, I had to take over. But we had 3 to take. From that meeting, they recruited Dr. Paul from New York. And he said, Clavelia Love Brinson. I said, she said, go ahead. I was just so surprised that he could pronounce my name. So,
and that was at your
graduation. And he pulled me up on the stage and he said, Sherry, I'm so proud of you. He said, I'm proud of you. He said, now I want you to work with the grown people, not my babies. He said, 'cause you make my babies cry. I want you to work with the grown people. And I said, okay. President Henderson said, give me a hug. He said, oh, I am so proud of you. I said, I'm proud of myself, Doc. So when I left the stage and walked outside and looked in that folder, and it had Clavelia Love Brinson, Bachelor's of Science, I said, oh boy. I said, Mama, I'll be back in a minute. She said, where you going? I said, I gotta go talk to Dr. Ram. She said, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. I said, no, I gotta go talk to Dr. Ramsey. So when I went in there, he had his door crack and he was doing something at the desk. And I pushed the door open and he looked up and he said, Sherry, I said, I got my black ass in your office one more time. For the last time. I have this degree in spite of you. He said, Sherry, you earned it. I said, yes, 3-fold with you. I said, but I could not leave this campus without telling you that I hate you. My grandmama said, don't hate nobody, but I hate you. And I think you have a problem. Either some black woman has hurt your heart and told you where to go, or there's somebody in your ancestral line blacker than me. Either way, you got a problem you need to deal with. You don't need to try to teach anybody's child till you deal with that, okay? My brother said, Clay. I said, I'm ready. I said, have a nice life, but I hate you. In high school, math was my thing. My SAT scores were like 290 for verbals and 498 for math. So math was my thing. I took college algebra, and I think the first day in there, the professor said, who understands mathematical induction? And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I
looked at everybody else.
And I was the only person with my hand up. And honest to God, I think he got angry. Sherry, you understand mathematical induction? I said, yes. And that's where you prove the Pythagorean theory by using postulates and theories to prove it. He says, Sherry will explain mathematical induction in the morning. Class dismissed. It is what I think it is. The next morning I got to class. Class was at 7:30. Got to class 7 o'clock. I went into the room and started writing on the board, proving the Pythagorean theory. It takes 2 boards, okay? And I was just about through when he walked in and the class walked in, and I said, you ready? He said, are you ready? I said, I'm ready. out of the class and said, okay. So I went on that side and started explaining because I'd already taken methods that you don't stand with your back to the class talking to them. So I explained that side. And then I went to the other side and explained why I used postulates and theories to prove it, and went to the next step. He said, I don't know how the hell you did it, but I know damn well you cheated. There's no way in where's hell for you to know that. I said, I went to the board, came to the board with chalk. I said, but you asked me some intelligent questions. He said, you cheated. I don't know how you did it, but there's no way in where's hell for you to know that. I got the class just looked at me, the head dropped. I got my books and came over to the administration building to talk to President Henderson. He said, young lady, you've been here. May I help you? I said, I hope you can. So he said, come on in. And I went in and I said, give me some of your typing paper. So I got 2 sheets of paper. I said, let me hold a pencil. And I did prove the Pythagorean theory using postulates and theories. And I said, this is what I did in the classroom. And after I explained it, I said, and the professor said there was no way in where's hell for me to know that. I cheated. He don't know how, but he know damn well I cheated. I said, I didn't. I knew this. President Henderson picked up the phone and called the comptroller's office, and he said, take Clavelia Brinson out of math. Give her credit, and she will not take another math class on this campus. I said, phew, for real? He said, for real.
So it sounds like
President
Henderson
twice bailed me out.
And I know that's one of the first things you mentioned to me when I called you the other day, is that President Henderson really was a big help. But was it just principally those 2 times, or did you talk to him at other times as well?
Another time other than when I graduated. But when I came back and saw that the library was named for him, I said, oh, wow, this is good. This is good. This is good.